July 2001, Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming. A 13-year-old boy is dying in a cave. He's been missing for 18 hours. Dressed in shorts, a t-shirt and sandals, rain and sleet hammer the rocks above him. Temperature 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Dropping. Search and rescue says they need daylight, clear skies. He doesn't have that long. Then a Bell 407 helicopter takes off in conditions that grounded every other aircraft in Teton County. The pilot isn't search and rescue. He's a 59-year-old man who didn't have to be there. What he does in the next 37 minutes will save a life that Hollywood will never know about. Here is the story. Cody Clausen is 13 years old, born 1989, Utah kid, good grades, Eagle Scout in training. July 2001, he's on a camping trip with his Boy Scout troop near Yellowstone National Park. 3,172 square miles of wilderness, mountains that swallow hikers whole. From 2007 to 2023, 74 people died in those mountains. Cody doesn't know that statistic. He's thinking about merit badges, about campfires, about going home in 3 days. July 10th, 2001, 2:17 p.m. Cody separates from his group during a hike, just for a minute, maybe two. He wants to see something over the ridge, a view, a landmark, something to remember. He climbs, turns, looks back. The trail is gone, his troop is gone. Cody calls out. Wind swallows his voice. He tries to retrace his steps. Every tree looks identical. Every rock formation the same. Panic starts small. A flutter in his chest, then bigger. His hands shake. He walks for hours. No compass, no map, no GPS. This is 2001. Cell phones exist, but not here. Not in wilderness that even satellites struggle to see clearly. 5 p.m. Shadows lengthen. Temperature drops from 68 degrees to 51 degrees. Cody is wearing shorts, a t-shirt, sandals designed for summer camp, not survival. His legs are scratched from bushes, his throat dry. He hasn't had water in 3 hours. 6:30 p.m. 10 miles away, his scout leaders realize Cody isn't with the group. They do a head count, once, twice, 3 times. Cody's name doesn't answer. Someone says, maybe he's in another group. They check. He isn't. Someone else says, maybe he went back to camp early. They radio camp. He didn't. The reality settles like stones in water. Cody Clausen is missing. In Yellowstone, at dusk, the leaders call Teton County Search and Rescue. 6:47 p.m. Dispatcher logs the call. Missing juvenile, 13 years old, last seen 2:17 p.m., 4 hours and 30 minutes ago, wearing summer clothes, no survival gear. The dispatcher doesn't say what everyone knows. After 24 hours in these mountains, statistics turn ugly. After 48 hours, they turn worse. Cody finds a cave at 7:12 p.m. It's not much, just an overhang of rock, 3 feet deep, 5 feet wide, but it blocks the wind. He crawls inside, pulls his knees to his chest. His teeth chatter. Outside, the sky darkens from blue to grey to black, and then the rain starts. It's not soft rain, not the kind that whispers. This rain screams. It hammers the rock above Cody's head like fists. Then the sleet comes. Ice pellets mixed with water. Temperature drops to 39 degrees. Cody's t-shirt is soaked through. His skin is pale, lips turning blue at the edges. He tries to stay awake. Fear keeps him conscious for the first 2 hours, but exhaustion is stronger than fear. At 11:43 p.m., Cody falls asleep, shivering, alone, 10 miles from anyone who knows his name. While Cody sleeps in that cave, search teams are organizing, flashlights, maps, radios, dogs. 37 volunteers spread across 6 square miles of terrain. They call his name into the darkness. The mountains echo it back, empty. They search until 2 a.m. Then conditions force them to stop. Rain too heavy, visibility 0. Risk of volunteers getting lost too high. They retreat, wait for sunrise. Leave Cody in the dark. Jackson Hole, Wyoming. 6:47 a.m., July 11, 2001. Harrison Ford's phone rings. He's awake already. Has been for an hour, coffee in hand. Looking out the window of his 800-acre ranch at mountains he's flown over 1,000 times. He answers. It's Teton County Sheriff Bob Zimmer. We've got a missing boy, 13 years old. Been out there 18 hours. Conditions are bad. We need air support. Ford doesn't ask questions. He says, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Hangs up, walks to his closet, pulls on jeans, white t-shirt, cowboy hat, boots. He's done this before, not the heroics, the flying. Ford has been a licensed helicopter pilot since 1993. 8 years, over 8,000 hours of flight time, fixed wing and rotary. He moved to Jackson Hole in the 1980s, fell in love with the mountains, the silence, the space to breathe without cameras. When he heard the county needed volunteer rescue pilots, he didn't think twice. Called the sheriff. Said, I'm going to fly anyway, so I might as well fly search and rescue and help people. The thing about Harrison Ford that Hollywood doesn't advertise is this. He hates publicity for things that matter. Indiana Jones. That's entertainment. Han Solo. That's a job. But saving actual lives. That's not content. That's not a press release. That's Tuesday morning in Wyoming when a kid needs help. Ford walks to his Bell 407 helicopter. It's parked on his property. $2 million aircraft. 6 seats. Maximum speed 140 knots. Range 340 nautical miles. He's maintained it perfectly. Checks it twice a week even when he's not flying. Because in search and rescue, equipment failure isn't inconvenient. It's fatal. He does his pre-flight inspection, rotor blades, fuel, hydraulics, oil pressure, everything green. He climbs into the pilot seat, straps in, flips switches, the engine winds to life, rotors begin to turn. Slow at first, then faster. The Bell 407 lifts off at 7:04 a.m. But there's a problem. Meteorology says flying is suicide, winds gusting at 58 kilometers per hour, cloud ceiling at 800 feet in some areas, rain still coming down, not sleet anymore but close, visibility fluctuating between 1 mile and 200 feet. Every commercial helicopter in Teton County is grounded, insurance won't cover it, liability too high, pilots too smart. But Ford isn't flying for money. He's flying because a 13-year-old boy in shorts and sandals has been outside for 18 hours, and the clock is still running. He radios search and rescue headquarters. This is November 2-3 Whiskey Hotel Foxtrot. I'm airborne. What's the search grid? Dispatcher gives him coordinates. Ford punches them into his GPS, banks the helicopter north. The windshield is streaked with rain. He wipes it with his hand. Doesn't help much. He flies low, under the cloud deck, 600 feet above ground level. Trees blur beneath him. He's scanning, always scanning, looking for color that doesn't belong. Orange jacket, blue tarp, anything. At 7:47 a.m., Cody Clausen wakes up. His body is stiff. Every muscle aches. He's cold in a way he's never been cold before. The kind of cold that lives in your bones. He crawls out of the cave, stands, his legs wobble. He hears something, a sound that doesn't belong to the forest, mechanical, rhythmic. He looks up. Through the trees, he sees it. A helicopter, small, dark, circling about 2 miles east. Cody's heart explodes in his chest. He starts running, stumbles, gets up, runs again. He needs to get to a clearing, needs to be seen. The forest is too dense. Trees block everything. He pushes through brush. Thorns tear his arms. He doesn't care. The helicopter is the only thing that matters. He finds a clearing, small, maybe 40 feet across. He stands in the center, waves his arms. The helicopter doesn't see him. It's too far, turning away. Cody panics. He needs something reflective, something bright. He unbuckles his belt. The buckle is metal, shiny. He angles it toward the sky, catches sunlight, reflects it. Once. The helicopter keeps turning. Twice. Still turning. 3 times. The helicopter stops, turns back, starts coming toward him. Inside the Bell 407, Ford sees it. A flash. 3 times. Rhythmic. Deliberate. Not random. That's a signal. He adjusts course, flies directly toward the flash. As he gets closer, he sees the clearing. Sees a small figure in the center. Blue t-shirt, shorts, waving. Ford circles once, checks the terrain. Ground looks stable enough. He radios headquarters. "I've got visual on possible target. Young male, clearing at coordinates north 447832, west 110.6981. I'm going in." The dispatcher's voice crackles back. "Copy that, November 23. Be advised, winds are variable at 15 to 25 knots. Proceed with caution." Ford doesn't respond. He's already descending. The helicopter drops. 500 feet, 400 feet, 300 feet. Wind shakes the frame. Ford's grip tightens on the cyclic control. His knuckles are white. The clearing is small, smaller than he'd like. Trees on all sides. No margin for error. He brings the Bell 407 down. Slowly, the landing gear touches dirt, touches again, settles. The engine idles. Rotors slow but don't stop. Ford keeps it running, in case he needs to take off fast. The co-pilot door opens. A search and rescue volunteer jumps out, runs toward Cody. Cody is crying, not from sadness, from relief so overwhelming it has nowhere else to go. The rescuer reaches him, puts a hand on his shoulder, says, "You're okay. You're safe. We're taking you out of here." Then he smiles, says, "But you'll never guess who's flying the helicopter." Cody doesn't care. He just wants to leave, wants to see his parents, wants to stop shaking. The rescuer leads him to the helicopter, helps him climb inside. Cody sits in the back seat, straps in. His hands are shaking so hard he can barely fasten the buckle. The co-pilot helps him, clicks it into place. Then the pilot turns around, looks at Cody, says, "Good morning." The voice. Cody knows that voice. He's heard it 1,000 times. In Star Wars, in Indiana Jones, in movies his dad plays on weekends. He looks at the pilot's face, really looks. The cowboy hat, the weathered features, the calm eyes. It's Harrison Ford. Actually, Harrison Ford, not on a screen, not in a poster, here. In a helicopter, in the middle of Wyoming wilderness, having just saved his life. Cody's brain short-circuits. He tries to speak. Nothing comes out. Ford doesn't wait for a response. He turns back to the controls, says to the co-pilot, "He's secure?" Co-pilot checks Cody's harness, says, "He's good." Ford nods, keys the radio. "Headquarters, this is November 23. 1 passenger on board. Minor hypothermia, possible dehydration, no visible trauma. Returning to base." The helicopter lifts off. Cody watches the clearing drop away, watches the forest spread beneath him like a green ocean, the same forest that tried to kill him. Now it's just trees. Ford flies steady, no sudden movements, no showing off, just professional flying. 11 minutes later they land at the search and rescue headquarters. Temporary setup, 4 trucks, 2 ambulances, 43 people waiting. The rotors spin down. Stop. Ford unbuckles, opens his door, walks around to Cody's side, helps him out. Cody's legs are weak. Ford steadies him, says, "Easy, take your time." Paramedics move in, check Cody's vitals, wrap him in thermal blankets. His core temperature is 94.7 degrees Fahrenheit, mild hypothermia. Could have been worse, should have been worse. Ford watches for a moment, then he turns to leave. Cody finds his voice, says, "Thank you." Ford stops, looks back, smiles slightly, says, "Boy, you sure must have earned a merit badge for this one." Cody tries to laugh. It comes out as a sob. He says, "I already got that badge last summer." Ford laughs, a real laugh, not a movie laugh. Then he walks back to his helicopter, climbs in, takes off, flies back to his ranch, lands, shuts down the engine, goes inside, makes more coffee. It's 8:52 a.m. He's been flying for 1 hour and 48 minutes, saved a life, and not one camera caught any of it. 3 days later, the story leaks. Local news picks it up, then regional, then national. Harrison Ford rescues Boy Scout in daring helicopter mission. The phone calls start, producers, agents, morning shows. Everyone wants him. ABC offers $3 million for an exclusive interview. NBC offers more. A production company wants to option the rights to the story. $5 million up front, $10 million if Ford agrees to star as himself. They want a documentary, a dramatization, a lifetime movie, something. Ford says no to all of it, every single offer. His publicist asks why. Ford says, because it's not entertainment, it was a person's life. The publicist tries again, says it's great publicity, says it'll remind people Ford is a real hero, not just an actor. Ford cuts him off, says, I stopped doing it because we would be lucky enough to find somebody and then they'd be on Good Morning America talking about a hero pilot. It's nothing like that. It's a team effort. It's lame to think about it that way. He means it. Ford stops volunteering for search and rescue missions after that. Not because he doesn't care, because every time he helps save someone, the media turns it into a circus. The focus shifts from the rescue to the rescuer, from the victim's survival to Ford's heroism. And he hates that, because when someone is dying on a mountain, the last thing that matters is who saves them. What matters is that they're saved. Cody Clausen tries to thank him, writes a letter, mails it to Ford's ranch. Ford reads it, doesn't respond publicly, but 2 weeks later Cody gets a package. Inside is a patch, Search and Rescue, Teton County, Wyoming. A handwritten note says, You earned this one for real. Stay safe. HF. Cody frames the patch, hangs it in his bedroom. It's still there when he moves out for college in 2007. Cody's friends at camp ask him about the rescue, want to know everything. One kid asks, Did you get his autograph? Cody shakes his head. Says, No, but I got a hug and a handshake, and that's better. Because it was. An autograph is ink on paper, a handshake from the man who saved your life. That's something you feel forever. Years pass. Cody grows up, gets married, has a son, names him Harrison. Not because of the movies, because of the morning in Wyoming when a man who didn't have to help chose to help anyway. When Cody's son asks why his name is Harrison, Cody tells him the story. Every detail, the cave, the rain, the belt buckle, the helicopter, the voice that said good morning. His son listens, wide-eyed, says, That's the coolest thing ever. Cody agrees. March 5th, Harrison Ford crashes a World War II aeroplane on a golf course in Los Angeles. Single-engine Ryan Aeronautical ST-3KR takes off from Santa Monica Municipal Airport. Engine fails. Ford tries to turn back, doesn't make it, crashes, suffers serious injuries, head trauma, broken pelvis, broken ankle. He survives, barely. Sarah George reads about the crash. She's 34 now, married, lives in Nevada with her husband and daughter, but in 2000, she was 20 years old. Hiking Table Mountain in Teton County, got altitude sickness, became hypothermic, couldn't move. Harrison Ford flew his helicopter up the mountain, picked her up, saved her life. She vomited in his cowboy hat during the flight. Didn't recognize him until the next day. Now, 15 years later, she tells a reporter, I'm glad he's okay. He saved my life. I've got to go see any movie he makes. He rescued me. Cody Clausen hears about the crash too. He's 27 years old now, living in Ogden, Utah, with his wife and 16-month-old son. He tells ABC News, what he did gave me a different perspective on stars. They sometimes get portrayed as snobby people, but there really are good, generous people out there. Harrison Ford is one of those good people who we're lucky to have as an influence on our lives. The media calls Ford a hero pilot. Ford, recovering in a hospital bed, tells visitors he hates that term, says it again. It's a team effort. Nobody listens. They want the story about the movie star who saves lives. Ford wants the story about the lives that got saved. There's a difference. One sells newspapers. The other actually matters. Today there's a plaque at Jackson Hole Airport, lists volunteer search and rescue pilots who've served Teton County. Harrison Ford's name is on it. No photo, no statue, just a name among others. Teton County Sheriff Bob Zimmer once calculated that Ford's volunteer work saved the county approximately $1,000 per hour, the amount it would have cost to hire a private pilot. Over the years Ford flew, that added up to tens of thousands of dollars. Ford never sent a bill, never asked for reimbursement, never mentioned it, because it wasn't about money, it wasn't about publicity, it wasn't about adding another hero to his resume. It was about a simple equation. He had a helicopter, he had skills, someone needed help, everything else was just noise. Cody Clausen is 37 years old now. It's been 23 years since that morning in Yellowstone. His son Harrison is 18, graduating high school, wants to become a pilot. Cody asks him why. Harrison Jr. says, "Because Grandpa told me about the guy you're named after, about what he did. I want to do that too, help people." Cody doesn't cry often, but he cries then. He thinks about the cave, the rain, the cold that lived in his bones. He thinks about the belt buckle flashing in the sunlight, 3 times, deliberate, desperate. He thinks about the sound of rotors cutting through wind, the voice that said good morning, the handshake that meant more than any autograph. And he thinks about what Ford said when reporters asked him about the rescues. "I'm going to fly anyway, so I might as well fly search and rescue and help people." That's the difference between Hollywood heroism and real heroism. Hollywood heroism has cameras, makeup, script rewrites, second takes. It ends when the director yells cut. Real heroism happens in rain, in wind, in conditions that ground everyone else. It happens when a 59-year-old man takes off in a Bell 407 because a 13-year-old boy in shorts doesn't have time to wait for perfect weather. Real heroism doesn't get filmed, doesn't get awards, doesn't get $10 million offers to star as yourself. Real heroism gets a handshake, a thank you, a letter. A son named Harrison, who wants to be a pilot because of a story his dad told him about the morning someone chose to help when they didn't have to. Have you ever had someone help you when they had absolutely nothing to gain from it? Think about that person. Remember their name, because the world runs on people who choose to show up when it's hard, when it's dangerous, when nobody's watching. Those are the real heroes. Not because they want credit, because they couldn't live with themselves if they didn't try. Harrison Ford never made a movie about that rescue, never wrote a book, never gave a speech. He just flew, landed, helped a kid get home, then went back to his ranch and drank his coffee, because it wasn't entertainment, it was a person's life. And unfortunately, they don't make men like Harrison Ford anymore.